Sir, welcome to the Vol Bros. My name is Evan. This is my brother Rustin, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And it has been a very busy weekend on Rocky Top. Yesterday, a sold out crowd in Thompson Bowling Arena, the Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena, saw a fantastic basketball game. Rustin actually texted me during the first media timeout saying, well, CBS has to love what they just got for the first 5 minutes of that game. He was exactly right. It was incredible back and forth action the first 6 minutes there until that first media timeout. Rustin, what were your initial thoughts and takeaways from what you saw yesterday?
When we're at full strength, we're really good. That was a very good Illinois team that I think probably has all the makings of a Sweet 16 team. They got a lot of length, a lot of athleticism, guys that can shoot. That's an impressive bunch. And Brad Underwood always finds ways to go deep in March. So that was an impressive win. I love what Rick Barnes is doing with this bunch. It's probably not a popular opinion, but I love the fact that he benched Freddie DeLeon and JP Estrella and Cade Phillips. And after the game, he was asked why none of them played. And he said, because they didn't take preparation seriously. I love that. He's got 8 dudes that he knows he can trust. And if the 3 young ones don't want to get motivated and do what they're supposed to do, he'll just ride the 8 he knows he has. So I thought going into that game, knowing they were only going to play those 8, the way they rotated made a lot more sense after the game. I thought it was a pretty complete game.
Yeah, I loved the ball movement. That was one of the main things that it was beautiful, beautiful. Like in a minute, we'll do our plays of the game, and mine was centered around how quickly they moved the ball, and it was just beautiful to watch. The biggest thing I saw yesterday was we didn't see a long stretch where they couldn't hit anything. That was a big deal, and that showed in the score. I mean, they scored 80 something points. So I mean, was it 86-79? I think it was the final score.
Yep.
And so you score 86 points in a game, you were consistently scoring throughout the game. Like that, it was not a repeat of Kansas where there was an 8-minute stretch where there was just hardly anything. And that's huge. That's huge for this team. I thought that Zakai Ziegler put the team on his back in the last 5 minutes of the game because he was the only one consistently hitting free throws. I don't know if Zakai missed a free throw in the last 5 minutes of the game. Whereas
he was 6 of 6.
There you go. Whereas Santi missed a free throw. Josiah Jordan-James missed a free throw. Jonas Adu missed a free throw all in the last 5 minutes. So we've said this over and over and over. And it was cool hearing Jay Wright say it during the game last night. Every March, the team that is able to go deep in March is a team who has a point guard who can make foul shots down the stretch when the other team's having to foul to stop the clock.
Yep.
That's how you win games in March. And Tennessee has that. Zakai proved that yesterday. When you have Vescovy, Zakai, and Dalton Kennett all on the floor at the same time, it's difficult to pass. And usually Josiah Jordan-James, it's difficult to pass the ball to someone who you won't feel confident when they're walking up to the free throw line. And that is a major luxury for Tennessee. And Jay Wright mentioned that near the end of the game yesterday too, which, side note, he was a joy to listen to. It was very, very nice listening to him. So, Rustin, let's jump into, before we go to the comments here, we got a bunch coming through. That's awesome. Man, Brant's bringing the fire with some of his comments already, his questions there. So, Rustin, what was your play of the game yesterday? If you had to pick one, what was your play of the game?
So I think it got lost in the shuffle of the game as it went, but with about 13 to 14 minutes left in the game, we were up by 3. We missed a jumper, looked like an easy rebound for them. out of nowhere, Jemai showed up in the screen, tipped it away from their rebounder, created a loose ball, then somehow found a way to get the loose ball. And then as he was falling out of bounds, kicks it to Dalton Connect wide open at the top of the key for a three that made it a 6-point game, and it never got closer. I thought that was the turning point in the game. I thought all day long, Jemai needs more minutes. Like they've got to find a way to get him on the court more. He played 15 minutes. He needed 25. The guy just does everything well. And we need the recruiting profile needs to be that we always have at least one Jemai Meshack on that roster. He is such a difference maker. Does everything well.
If you are listening right now or watching with us right now, let us know in the comments what your play of the game was. Zach, welcome, buddy. Good to have you with us. He said his play of the game was a dunk by Josiah Jordan-James. And so there were two of them. I'm guessing.
Which came off of a slash by Jemai Meshack.
So there were two dunks that Josiah Jordan-James had. So I have three ranked order. My play of the game.
I'll go is singular.
But yeah, okay. No, I'm breaking the rules here a little bit. I'll go in ascending order, I guess, or descending. I don't know, however you want to look at it. So my number 3 play of the game. So my runner-up play was, and the people are going to be really upset with this because this was a lot of people's play of the game. When Zakai Ziegler stole the ball knocked the ball away from the dude near half court, dove for the loose ball, got the loose ball, passed it to Josiah, and he finished with a slam. And Zakai turned around and looked at the guy like this, and then he stole the ball from him. That was my runner-up play of the game because it was a huge message. And, it was a huge message that, we're going to scrap. We're going to fight. We're going to play hard defense. Now, what is humorous about that is there was a guy on Twitter. I should have saved it and shown it on the screen here. There was a guy on Twitter who said that literally the play before that happened, an Illinois fan who was sitting beside him yelled to the guy that was dribbling the ball, "Z can't guard you," like that, telling him, you can just go past him. And then the guy next trip up the court, Zakai does that, and the guy who was sitting next to Illinois guy goes, "He can guard you." He said he had so much fun shouting that right next to the dude who had just said the opposite. Zach said the announcers said a New York stare off. They sure did. Let's see. Tony said welcome, Tony. Good to have you. He said I would give Meshack about 5 of JJJ's minutes.
I would give him about 5 of Jordan Gainey's minutes.
So Brant, he mentioned my runner-up play of the game. Welcome, Brant. Good to have you, buddy. He said, love seeing Josiah just driving the lane and exploding to the basket with that dunk. So that was my runner-up play of the game. The reason it is my runner-up play of the game, it was almost my play of the game. But the reason it's my runner-up play of the game is because I went back and watched it at least 2 more times, rewound it, and when I was watching it there. He jumped from the SEC logo.
Yep.
And it wasn't like one of those things where part of his foot was on the logo and the other part was in front of it. No. His entire foot was on the logo. He jumped from the logo and jammed it. It was awesome. As Dick Vitale would say, it was awesome, baby, with a capital A. It sure was. It was incredible. He jumped from the logo. That is fantastic. So that was my runner-up play of the game. But my play of the game happened in the first half. Zakai caught the ball on the wing closest to the camera and drove to the baseline, made a bounce pass to Josiah, cutting back door. Josiah goes up and then wraps a pass around the defender to Jonas Adu, who slams it down with authority. It was absolutely beautiful. just beautiful ball movement, finished with a slam. Easily my play of the game. I loved it. I love seeing that ball movement like that. The team working together. Man, oh man, that was some good stuff. I loved it. Let's see what some other folks have said about the game so far, and then we'll get to our player of the game. Zach said he loved the uniforms they wore. Awesome win. After the game, I checked the other teams in the SEC, and nobody ahead of us had played anyone. So I agree. Those cream jerseys, man, those are beautiful. I really like them. I love the old school script on them. Looks great. I love them. Zach said, I do have one critical thing to say. You have to make free throws. Yeah, no doubt. Like you got to make free throws. And that is something that they struggled to do late in the game yesterday.
I think
Good news is they were actually getting to the free throw line, which is rare.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think the timing was a little misleading because they were actually 26 of 34 at the free throw line. They just missed
okay,
a
that's a good
couple in
point.
key moments. I mean,
Yeah, that's a
overall,
good
they
point.
actually shot the ball pretty well.
So I've probably got some recency bias there. That's a good point. Let's see what else we got. Brent, welcome, Brent. Brent said, "What's up, fellas? Huge win yesterday. Proud of this team for coming up with a W. Ziegler was better, and Kinnett is just special. Absolutely."
Yep.
Brent, welcome, Brent. Welcome, Brent. Welcome again, Brent. He said, Tobey might be my favorite basketball. Tough as they come, a smart dude. Loves to read some deep stuff. No doubt. That was fascinating. He's reading like Mere Christianity right now, and he hustles his tail off when he's on the court. He is a rebounding machine. Zach last year likened Awaka to Dennis Rodman and Charles Barkley a few times just because he's always rebounding, always. And you need people like that on your team. Brant made a great point. He said, good to see Sonny back and seemingly having fun. I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
That was more like what we're used to seeing yesterday.
Yeah.
And he had a fantastic game.
That was the most comfortable he's looked in a while.
Totally agree. Zach said Gainey is good, but sometimes he's a ball hog. I can understand why people would say that. I think he's being told to shoot the ball, though.
Yeah.
Because he can shoot it.
In the basketball world, he's what people call a volume shooter. Now, the one thing you have to know about a volume shooter is they need shots, but they know immediately if it's going to be a good half or not. And the reason I say half is for volume shooters, let's say Jordan Gainey came out in the first few minutes, he wasn't hitting. He's not going to hit the rest of the half, but he can go in at halftime, sit down, get a breather, come back out, and warm up, see a few balls go through. And it's like it started a whole new game, and you got to give him more shots to start the second half to see if somehow all of a sudden he found his stroke. So it's not that he's a ball hog. They just don't know what he can do until he does it. And so that's why I say I'd like to take some of his minutes away. Like in the first half, when he missed a few shots, it wasn't going to get any better. They should have played Jemai more. But he came out after halftime. Apparently, he saw some balls go in during warm-ups. When he got opportunities, he hit shots. So, that's just the risk you run with a volume shooter. That's just who they are.
I would remind everyone of the exhibition game at Michigan State. Jordan Gainey was one of the leading scorers on the team that day because people coming out of that game, people like, man, Gainey can shoot the ball. That's all you saw on Twitter. Like, we got to get Gainey the ball.
Yeah.
He's just a streaky shooter. And so when he it's funny, we always say in baseball, hitting's contagious. In basketball, shooting is contagious. When you start seeing shots go through the nets, all of a sudden the nets look a little bit bigger. And so it's easier to hit. It's weird how it works, but it happens. Let's see. Tony agreed that Gainey may need his minutes reduced a little bit there. Brant said those uniforms are fire. That's the baseball jersey I've got and wear for good luck. Oh yeah, I totally agree. That baseball jersey is the Sunday Creams are easily my favorite jersey. I think they're Rustin's favorite jersey too. Are they your favorite jersey? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they're awesome. Tony said, I love Vescovy and Ziegler, but Kinnett is the man.
He's different.
That's a good way of describing him. He's different. Absolutely. Absolutely.
He has the rare finishing ability that most people don't have. He somehow finds a way to get the ball in the glass. It's similar to watching Steph Curry when he drives. Like sometimes he's at the weirdest angles and you're like, what is he doing? Then all of a sudden he just finds the perfect angle off the glass and it goes in. You're like, okay, he knew.
Yeah.
It's wild to watch.
Yeah. He's different. That's a good way of saying he's special. Absolutely. Zach said he still thinks that Owaka reminds him of Dennis Rodman and Charles Barkley the way he rebounds. Brent asked a great question about football. So I'm going to star that because we're going to come. I was actually going to talk about that later on in the show anyway. We were going to come to that topic eventually. So, Brent, we're going to come back to that comment for sure because that's a great question. Brent said, good point. Gaining reminds me of Key last year, streaky. Yeah, that's fair. Tony said, I've been begging JJJ to take the ball to the basket for the last 4 years. Hope he continues to do so. Man, hey, you know what was funny about that drive when he took off from the logo? There were 3 defenders that could have stepped in front of him, and all of them were just like, no thanks. And they just let him go, man. They just let him go. That was hilarious.
I don't know if it was one of the new assistants that brought it, if it was Greg Polinsky, or if Rick Barnes is just really starting to open up his mind to some things. But I love the fact that he has incorporated so much of the dribble drive offense into his normal stuff. For those of you who don't know what that looks like, so for example, on Josiah's dunk, in the dribble drive offense, when somebody attacks the basket, the opposite wing rotates behind them. And so if they don't get to the basket, they can kick it back to that guy, and that guy can immediately come into the gap that they just created. And that's how Josiah got that dunk. Jemai penetrated deep into the paint, got stopped, kicked it back to Josiah, but because he was already moving into that same gap, it was still open. That's been needed. They've had a hard time getting to the basket the last few years. And just a simple adjustment of adding that into everything that they do, you see it happen a lot. They get a lot more attacks to the basket than they have previously.
So talking about the Sunday Cream jerseys, got Zach thinking about baseball. Zach said just 2 more months till baseball. Oh man, he's wants it sooner than that. He said, but positive side, glass half full. That's why we love Zach. He said, but just 2 more months until the start of the Tony V Revenge Tour. Brent said, good to see Adu play and not get in early foul trouble. Absolutely. So that was wild. So there's supposed to be a media timeout every 4 minutes. So the first media timeout is at the under 16 whistle. Yesterday, the first media timeout was at almost the 14-minute mark. I think it was 14:06 or something like that when the first media timeout happened, which means that there was at least a minute and 58 seconds or 54 seconds where there was no whistle. But it was a while before that too. I think we went. I need to go back and watch, but I think we went probably 4 minutes, maybe more, without a whistle. That is awesome, because here's what that means. That means you're seeing really, really good basketball, and it was. Both teams were playing excellent defense, but also excellent offense at the same time. If you were a basketball fan, you loved the first 6 minutes of that game yesterday. That means nobody was turning the ball over, like passing it out of bounds or anything like that. Nobody was traveling. It was just good basketball that the referees didn't even need to blow their whistle. I think it was probably 4 minutes. I'll have to go back and look, but it was a while, and it was awesome. Let's see. Zach said, oh, good question, Zach. Zach said, do you see us reaching 90 or 100 points on Tuesday? So Tennessee plays in Thompson Bowling Arena Tuesday night against Georgia Southern. Do you see us scoring reaching 90 or 100 against Georgia Southern, or do you see us playing to the competition? I think they're going to score 90 at least.
I'll put it to you this way. I just tallied it up. Georgia Southern is currently 0-9. In those 9 losses, 7 of them, the opponent has scored at least 80 points. And I'll just say it this way: there's nobody they've played yet that's as good as us. So,
I mean, I guess it's a situation where we could say we should score at least 90. We should. But who knows when we're going to have a stretch like we did against Kansas where there's 8 minutes and we can't shoot it at all. Surely
Ken-
that won't happen in that game because we can take it to the basket and that kind of stuff.
Kennesaw State scored 96 on them.
Well, there you go. Zach said, so you're saying we're going to score 160? I don't know about that.
I'm answering your first question. I think we'll get somewhere between 90 and 100.
Nice. Very good. Very good. Well, let's go to our player of the game. Rustin, who was your player of the game?
I mean, the best player on the court was Dalton Knecht. I mean,
Sure.
It's like Brad Underwood said after the game. He's going to be playing in a different league next year. It is what it is. But as good as Dalton was, I still stand by what I was saying a second ago. I don't think we win that game if it's not for Jemiah Mashack. I think he came in and completely changed that in the second half. I think it completely changed the tone and tempo and every phase of that game, and he gave us a massive lift.
I'm going to go a little bit off the. I mean, obviously, we could say the best player on the court was Dalton for sure. I mean, like, there's no doubt. I'm going to go a little bit in a different route, and I'm going to say my player of the game was Santiago Vescovi. The reason I say that is not so much for what happened yesterday, because it was. I mean, he was one rebound shy of a double-double.
Yep.
But what we saw from him yesterday is vitally important moving forward, because from this point forward, they need that Santiago Vescovi that showed up yesterday. They need him every game. And Jay Wright was even saying that during the broadcast. He was saying, he's the guy that makes this offense go and has made it go for the last few years. He's that guy. And so they need him. Yesterday we got shades of what we've seen in the past. Like, for example, that corner three where he was fading away and he caught the ball and quickly got it up, got his shoulder square and got it up. That was beautiful. I mean, that was just absolutely beautiful, beautiful. Then on the he goes coast to coast with gets a rebound on one end of the court, out runs past the defense, the length of the court, and then drops it over his shoulder to Jemiah Mashack coming behind him for a layup. That was beautiful. That's a beautiful play. That would have been my runner-up play, the number 4 play. I mean, like those are things we saw him doing last year and years prior that we hadn't yet seen this year, except for one game. I think it was the game after Kansas, whoever that was. I can't remember. So that's what we need to see from him, and it was very, very encouraging to see that. And then after he made that dish behind his shoulder, over his shoulder, Jemiah, he had a big smile going down the court. That was great, man.
That was an insane pass. I don't know how he saw him from the angle he penetrated to the basket. I have no idea how he saw him.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Brant said, "Isn't it nice to have the program where it is now? I'm old enough to remember when we couldn't make the NIT."
Yep.
Amen, brother. Absolutely. Zach said his player of the game was Jonas Adu. That's a great choice. Adu had a great game. So Brant asked his I start a question from Brand at the beginning. He asked again, so I'm going to put it up on screen here. Zach said, I pick Knecht or Awaka almost every time, so I'm changing it up this time. I totally get it, man. All right, so let's go to Brant's initial question, because Brant asked this right before we went live, and I started because I thought it was a great question. And so Brant asked, is Dalton Knecht the best overall player at UT since Allen Houston? I mean, that's a I don't know. I mean,
Chris Lofton's the best shooter.
Okay, thank you. You said that's exact.
Chris Lofton's probably the best shooter ever to put on a Tennessee jersey, but that says best overall player, and there's a lot more to Dalton Knecht's game than Chris Lofton's.
Yeah. I mean, that was what I was going to come to. It was, I think the key word there is overall. I think that's the key word, because Okay, the move that Dalton had yesterday, where he drove the right side of the lane and elevated and finger rolled it over the top of two guys, Chris Lofton ain't gonna do that. Like that's not happening.
He's,
So,
he's not even going to try it. He knows
yeah,
better.
yeah. So, it's stuff like that is what would make Dalton a better overall player. If we're just talking about better shooter, then it's not even close. It's Chris Lofton.
He had that one
Um,
play where he drove from the like right wing, got in the middle of the lane, did a Euro step, and somehow got to the opposite side of the lane, and
yeah,
then a left-handed finger roll with his arm completely outstretched away from the defender. And it's like,
off his left foot too. Off the yeah.
how do you even do that? It's just different.
Tony said Connect can create his own shot. Not many people can do that. Zach said Connect,
And
great,
it's not just the threes and getting to the basket. He's got the mid-range game too. Like anytime
yeah.
he wants to, he can stop and shoot. It's incredible.
Well, and another thing that people could say in favor of Chris, like I can't think of another person other than Chris Lofton who would be considered in the same conversation right now.
Right.
Um, I think that another thing that people might say in favor of Chris Lofton is, well, okay, but he's a guy that you can just give him the ball and say, okay, go score, take over the game. Well, we've seen Rick Barnes do that already with Dalton as well. It was at the end of the North Carolina game. So I don't know, maybe the last 6 minutes, maybe not that much, maybe 5 minutes of the game. The offense was give the ball to Dalton. Like that was the offense.
Screen. Just give him the ball, high ball screen. Let's go.
And I mean, it wasn't even like they were bringing the ball up the court, letting Dalton get open off a screen or something on the wing and pass to him. He was bringing the ball up the court, like literally from 90 something feet, 94 feet from baseline to baseline. They were like, here's the ball, Dalton, go score. There has been no one at Tennessee that they could say that to since Chris Lofton. And so, that argument in favor of Chris Lofton would also apply to Dalton. So, I mean, I think I think Brant makes a really good point here. I mean, the only guy in the same category would be Chris Lofton, and Dalton can do things that Chris can't.
Yeah.
So
now I think if Coach Barnes had taken the handcuffs off Grant and allowed him to float around a little more and shoot the ball more from the perimeter like the Celtics did when he got to the NBA, we might be having that conversation about Grant, because that wasn't just something he magically learned to do in the NBA. They just handcuffed him when he was at Tennessee. I would have liked to have seen him more free-flowing with the ability to float out, knock down threes when they don't come guard him, but he's just never really given the option.
Zach makes a good point. He said Tobias Harris is up there too, Grant Williams. I agree.
But he wasn't as good of a shooter.
Yeah, like, that's what I was gonna say.
Tobias became a better shooter when he got to the NBA, and he could focus on growing his shot. He wasn't that great of a shooter at Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Was he's probably not as good of a shooter as Dalton is right now. Brant said Allen Houston was amazing on some terrible teams. Connect seems like he's from the same mold, and now has a better supporting cast. Let's go ahead and get Sweet 16 tickets. Hey man, I love it. Absolutely, absolutely. Brant, that is a fan. Thank you so much for bringing that question to us, because that is a fantastic question. That was fun to talk about. So Brant, we really, really appreciate that. That's fun stuff right there. That's fun. Brent said, I know this is a basketball. Okay, so I saved this one because I knew we'd get here. Because a lot's going on. A lot's going on in the port. Okay, did you know, this blew my mind. What is this, Sunday? Yeah. Last Monday, December the 4th, was officially the opening day of the transfer portal. 1,138 players. 1,000. That number blows my mind. 1,138 players entered the portal on Monday, the first day. And there have been more since then. I saw a thing earlier today. It was oh goodness, who was it? North Carolina is currently second with 15 transfer portal 15 players who entered the transfer portal. They were at number 2 at 15. There was another team that was number 1 at 19. They had 19 guys who had entered the transfer portal thus far. And I'm trying to remember who it was, and I cannot remember it.
Well, it's like I told you. I mean, at one point, and it may be worse now, but at one point, Ohio State, if you took their two deep, so top 22 on each side of the ball, offense and defense, top 44 players essentially, 11 of them entered the portal on day one. So 25% of their two deep chart was in the portal on Monday.
I was going to try to see if I could find it real quick. I can't find it. That's frustrating because I was like, I didn't write it down because I was like, oh, I'll remember that. Well, I've forgotten. So, there are people transferring left and right. So let's start with the second part of Brent's question. He said the Tyler Barron and Danico Slaughter lost to the portal. Is the sky falling? It's a great question. I don't think so. I would actually propose that this is a good thing that Danico entered the portal. And I do not mean anything negative towards Nico by saying that. I'm trying to read between the lines. And I think what that means that Danico entered the portal, I think that is an indicator that he knows Gabe Judy Lawley is returning, which is good news for Tennessee fans. We want Gabe Judy Lawley to return. And I think he understands that there are younger players who demonstrated, like Ricky Gibson near the end of the year there, who demonstrated that they got talent. And I think that Danico may be aware that there is a fairly good chance that he might get beat out by younger talent next year. He only has 1 year of eligibility left. And so he announced today that he is going to Georgia Tech.
No, that's Warren Burrell.
Oh yeah, my bad. I meant Warren Burrell. Same situation.
Yeah.
Warren has 1 year of eligibility left. And so both of those guys, I think they see the writing up. I'm hoping that this is what's going on. I'm hoping that they see the writing on the wall that they're going to get left out next year a little bit. They're going to be second and third string behind, or second string probably behind younger guys, and they want to be the guy. And so like Warren Burrell, I mean, think about Warren Burrell's career at Tennessee. He started at cornerback as a true freshman because at the time he was our best corner as a true freshman. And now he's leaving because there are other people who are better than him.
Something
that's a
else
good sign for us.
Yeah, something else that's probably playing into that decision, very high probability Willie Martinez is retiring after the bowl game. And it will be after the bowl game because they don't want to hurt the recruiting class that's coming in. They want to make sure they get them on campus, especially the early enrollees. Get them to signing day, get them there. Willie Martinez has always had a propensity to play the older guys. And so if you're Warren Burrell, Danico Slaughter, you're in that locker room, Coach Martinez is probably not coming back. You're looking around that locker room and going, that Gibson kid's pretty good. That Christian Conyers kid, he's pretty good too. We've signed a couple of DBs coming in that are pretty good players. Mike Matthews is just as good at corner as he is a wide receiver. What if he gets there and they go, hey, we're going to give him a shot? I'm sure they're looking around the room and going, depending on who replaces Coach Martinez, they may not be so apt to only play older guys. And, you can't gamble with that. You got to go where you can make sure you're seen. Warren Burrell going to Georgia Tech was a fantastic thing. He's from Sewanee, gets to finish his career in front of his family. That was a great signing. They need help in the secondary. He can go start right away. I'm really happy for him. That's a really good spot.
So Zach said, so you transfer to go to a losing team, and not necessarily. They're transferring to go to a team where they know they're going to see the field.
Yeah. And
That's the difference.
Georgia Tech's on the rise. Brent Key's doing a really good job down there. Don't be surprised
Um,
if next year they're a bowl team.
I mean, he knows Warren Burrell knows he goes in there. There's not anybody better than him on that in that secondary, and so he knows he'll see the field day one. Um, Tyler Barron. This one intrigues me actually. So uh, I don't know who sang the song. I should know that, but money, 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 money. So here's the deal: the transfer portal has become all about money this year. Juice Wells, Austin Price was talking about this on their podcast the other day. Juice Wells is almost actively making it known that he's going to the highest bidder. I mean, he's straight up essentially letting people know that ahead of time. Like, I'm going to where who's going to pay me the most. Uh, I love On Three Sports. I love On Three Sports. They have done awesome stuff. I'm so excited for Grant Fairking, a Tennessee volunteer who is now their national, NIL guy. But they are. I think On Three might be fueling the transfer portal a little bit with their NIL value amount that they put on each player. Right now, Tyler Barron has an NIL estimated worth of $350,000, $355,000. So I guarantee you, he's out there telling teams, "You give me $355,000, I'm coming." I mean, why would players not do that? They have a national agency telling them this is how much money you're worth, and they're going to go try to find a team that's going to pay them that amount of money. I mean, that just makes sense that players would do that. And so I'm sure that's what's going on. Do I know that for a fact? No. Do I think that's a pretty daggum good guess? Yeah. Zach helped me out. He thinks it's Abba that's saying that.
That's right.
There you go. Appreciate that. Teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work here.
I do think there's two other potential issues taking place here. And I think you're right. I think some of it is NIL. Because James Pierce, I'm sure, is commanding a pretty penny right now.
Oh yeah.
Their existing roster has to be held intact.
James Pierce currently has teams telling him they will pay him $250,000 to come play for them.
Yeah. So, when you're trying to keep your current roster intact, you can't really offer money to a guy that is kind of hedging his bets.
And only has 1 year left.
Well, and maybe not that, because the other thing I was going to say is some of this is I enter the portal just in case I don't like my draft grade. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if Tyler Barron likes his draft grade, Tyler Barron's going in the draft.
Yeah.
Because there are very few NIL programs out there, especially for an extra year defensive end, that's going to get remotely close to what the NFL will pay.
Sure.
The other thing that I think everybody has to keep in mind here, the coaches are in a really difficult place because they're constantly having to think through roster management.
Yes.
They've got kids that they've made promises to, like a Joshua Josephs, like a Shondavian Bradley, like a Jordan Ross coming in, who they said, hey, this guy's going to be gone and you're going to come in and play this role. Yep. Or, you've got Joshua Josephs chomping at the bit, trying to figure out if he needs to stay at Tennessee. And you're going, hey, this guy's going to leave and you're going to walk into this role next year. So when all of a sudden that guy starts changing his mind and saying, oh, well, I think I want to stay, you can't. Like, we've already had this conversation. You said you were going pro. Sorry. We've already made plans. They're also thinking about a year or two down the road and going, okay, when James Pierce goes pro after next year, Shondavian Bradley is going to walk into his spot and we're going to recruit this guy that's going to move into his spot. And when one person changes their mind, it throws a monkey wrench in everything.
Yeah,
So they have to stick to the plan, and they have to go, sorry, we already had this conversation. You said you were going pro, go pro. And if that's not what you're doing, then throw your name in that portal because we don't have a spot for you anymore.
absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. Brant said, "Is it wrong for me to be sad to watch players essentially shaking down their own teams for more money?"
Better get used
Uh,
to it.
I mean, I agree with you, Brant. I totally understand that. Where is the sense of school pride and loyalty? But unfortunately, these players, it's all about the money. I mean, it's all about the money. And I mean, okay, well, before we even go any further, let's talk about Marvin Harrison for a moment. There are now reports that Ohio State has boosters and donors who have accumulated, they're estimating 20 to 25 million dollars to pay Marvin Harrison to come back and play next year. 1 year. 20 to 25 million dollars for 1 year. I saw a tweet earlier today where they were comparing that number to current NFL players, and that 1 year of 20 to 25 million would be more than the cumulative total that Justin Jefferson has made as an NFL player, that Justin Fields has made as an NFL player. There were several names on that list. I was like, holy cow. Names that I was shocked to see on that list. And he would make it more. Oh, it was almost double Marvin Harrison Sr.'s NFL earnings. And it would just be in 1 year. 1 year. Unreal. I wish I could remember all the names on that list, but I can't remember them all.
Pretty much anybody who's been in the league for less than 3 years.
Yeah.
Because those first 3 years, they have a cap on how much of a contract they can sign. So very few of them ever get over 25 million because of that cap. Now year 4, it changes a whole lot then.
Yeah.
But those first 3 years, they're capped on what they can make.
Zach makes a good point. He says this might come off wrong. If you don't want to be here, then you don't have to be here. Someone else can step up. And he said it'd probably be someone better. And he said, don't come around saying VFL because you're not. And he's exactly right. I mean, like I get that. I understand that they want the money element of it. I get that, but it's hard to say VFL when you're wearing a different team's jersey, on Saturdays. Going back to some other comments we had, I'm going to come back to Jordan Seaton in a minute. But Brant said, "Love the show, fellas. Hey, we appreciate that very much, Brant." Zach said, "Forget the Sweet 16. We're getting Final Four tickets."
Let's just get to March.
Yeah. Brant said, "Jordan Seaton to a 4-win team, not even in his top 3. Good riddance." So here's my thing with that. I actually have quite a few feelings about that, but I'm not going to say almost all of them. I'll just say 1 or 2 of them. The first indicator that Jordan might like attention was the fact that I would venture to guess he was the first ever recruit to announce his commitment on Skip Bayless's show, with Michael Irvin there and all that kind of stuff. I'd be surprised if he wasn't the first to ever do that. But you know what? Good for him. Good for him that he was invited to do that. Clearly a good football player. But he announces his top teams, one of which was Tennessee. I believe the other one was Alabama and the other was Ohio State. One was Oregon. I think those were his top 4. And then he puts on a cap, pulls out a cap out of a bag and says, "I'm going to Colorado." And that's not one of the 4 teams he mentioned. But he says, I'm going to Colorado. And then less than 3 hours later, so he just makes this announcement on live television. And less than 3 hours later, he says, He hasn't yet rolled out an official visit to Oregon, though. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? So I think I have to echo Brant's sentiments there. Good riddance. That may not be the personality that you want in your locker room. I'm just saying. We're sitting here talking about money, money, money. Well, he is all about that apparently.
And let's just not mince words. Who's on that Skip Bayless show?
Michael Irvin.
Shannon, yeah. Who's Michael Irvin work for?
Well, Deion Sanders.
Barstool.
Yeah.
How did Deion get Jackson State to somehow sign the Hunter kid? Oh, wait, he got a massive endorsement deal with Barstool. I can't imagine how Jordan Seaton just magically ended up choosing Colorado over everyone else. And then he announces on a show with a Barstool employee. I'm sure that was just a coincidence.
Yeah. And, also that Michael and Deion were teammates with the Cowboys, and they're good friends. Michael gave a pregame pep talk to the Colorado team, but I think before their third game this year.
Deion's a Barstool employee. Deion has a massive endorsement deal with Barstool. Like, all this is connected, and it's anytime you see a big name guy choose to go to Colorado out of nowhere, I can guarantee you there's a Barstool endorsement deal somewhere in the wings.
Yep. Brant said, usually I'm upset to lose a 5-star. Not in this case. I would agree with that. I totally agree. Zach, I love Zach's optimism. He says, hey, Rustin, March is easy with Ricky Bobby Barnes.
Yeah, let's get there healthy. We've had a bad history of injuries ending seasons. So let's be healthy.
Lady Vols also won today. It was not an impressive win, but they did win, which is good. They, I would say, snuck out a win, but that's kind of the case. They got past Eastern Kentucky. I'll put it that way. I should not be saying those words, that they got past Eastern Kentucky, but that's what happened. So hopefully the Lady Vols can continue to, right the ship. We'll see.
Good news is they're tweeting out videos of Rakia doing slide drills. That's usually a good sign that she's about ready to play.
Yeah, that's a good sign. It's like they're just telling the fans, just wait.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. There was no hidden message there. It was like, hey, back off. She's almost ready.
Yep. Yeah. Somebody asked me this week, actually, because there were rumors for a little bit that Rakia may not even be able to return this season, and would she return? And somebody was talking to me one day, we were sitting at lunch, and they said, you hate it for Holly that, not Holly, sorry. You hate it for Kelly that her career at Tennessee might be tied to the performance of one player. And I get that. And, I said, yeah, you're right. And I said, but the flip side of that is that's on Kelly, that her career at Tennessee may be tied to one player. That's on her. So I hope that it works out.
This is going to sound really sexist, and I don't mean it to, but I really wish that women's basketball coaches recognize their staff and what their staff is capable of and what it's not capable of, and staff appropriately. When I watch what we do X's and O's wise, it ain't great. And it tells me that we've got a staff of recruiters, because we recruit at a high level. I mean, we get pretty much anybody we want, who don't really understand the X's and O's of the game and don't create opportunities for certain players. As soon as Rakia went out, we should have been running quick hitters for Jewel Spear, quick hitters for Jillian Hollingshed, different things to try to get people involved intentionally. We don't do it ever. We're running the exact same stuff.
Yeah, I understand.
And who's our leading
Uh,
scorer? Carolyn Striplin. Who's she in the game for? Rakia Jackson. So we're literally running the exact same stuff, and Caroline's just getting the shots that Rakia normally would get. It's really frustrating to watch, especially when you know there's coaches out there that are really good X's and O's. I mean, if you have to sacrifice one recruiter to get somebody who can call an offense and defense for you, can save a job.
Doug said, as far as like NIL and recruiting, he said, how much as we as fans are willing to pay to win? For me, it's taking the enjoyment away from the game. I get that, especially this time of year when you see players leveraging. I mean, they're pulling a page out of the Mike Gundy, the Mike Gundy, stuff here.
Mike Gundy's
Mike,
own son entered the portal this week.
yeah. Well, Mike taunted Oklahoma State with him leaving multiple times, using Tennessee actually once or twice in that process, just to gain a monetary advantage for himself. So now we're seeing players do that too. Zach said, I'm so upset at the volleyball game. Zach, I'm glad you mentioned this.
That was a fantastic game.
Yeah. So our volleyball team lost in the Sweet 16 to the defending national champion Texas Longhorns. What Texas was defending champs, weren't they?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
The volleyball team, as you know, you may or may not know, they play a best 3 out of 5. And if it goes to a fifth set, the game shortens from 25 to 15 points. And we actually were up. I believe we lost the first set, then we won the next two.
Yeah, we
So
were
we
1
were up
point
2-1.
away. We were set point in game 3 or game 4. We were 1 point away from winning it all, and they rallied back. I mean, it was literally 1 point away, and they got a couple of quick points, won the fourth set, put it in the fifth. Fifth actually went extra points.
Yeah.
It didn't get ended at 15. But, one of our best players got injured, didn't get to play. If she had played, we probably win that game. But it was crazy hard fought. Both teams were playing out of their minds. There was some unbelievable effort. It was fantastic to watch.
And it really, everything we've talked about really speaks to the shirt Rustin's wearing right now. Tennessee is an everything school.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Side note, if you would like to purchase that shirt, you can do so at thevolbros.com. Once again, that is thevolbros.com.
and they've got almost everybody returning next year. So they're going to be a contender next year. Everybody's kind of watching them. If you watch that match, the announcers kept talking about, they're like, everybody's watching Tennessee. They've been shocked at what Tennessee has, how much they've grown, how good they are, and they're all looking at them as the team to beat next year.
So at thevolbros.com, if you click on the top right corner on shop, you can see all these beautiful designs. Wow, those are just gorgeous. Let's see. Is it showing for you? It's not showing on there, I don't think. Is it?
Yeah.
Can you see the designs?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know why it's frozen. Oh, wait, here we go. There they are. Here's the everything school shirt. This is the long sleeve version. The one that Rustin is wearing is once the spinning wheel of death finishes. It is $24.99. There's a hoodie. Wow, look at that. Pickleball paddle set, everything school. How about that? Man, that is high quality stuff. There is a t-shirt, $24.99. You can get it in white, black, navy, or smoky gray. So you know what? I'll tell you what, just to help everybody out, I'll put that in the comments right now, actually. The link to that. There you go. So for all the people who are watching us on Twitter right now, we had 31 people watching. Now we're down to 21, I guess, because I started talking about the shirt. But for all you folks, we really appreciate y'all watching too. And so I will put that in the comments on Twitter as well. So great shirt. It's a great shirt. Anyway, so Back to the NIL stuff. Um, Side note, go volleyball. It is an everything school. We look forward to seeing them play well again next year. Brent said he agrees with Doug. He doesn't think we'll recognize college football in 5 more years.
Well,
And
Brant and Doug, let me just tell you, good news is coming. Congress is trying to get actively involved in NIL. So I'm sure they'll solve everything and it won't possibly get worse with their involvement.
yeah, no chance, right? I mean, like it's only going to get better if that's the case. Sarcasm font. And by the way,
Yeah.
We had this dude.
The last people you want involved in this is Congress.
Yeah.
It was funny. Tommy Tuberville was actually on Mac and Cube one day talking about a bill that he and Joe Manchin were trying to write to help with NIL. And is Tommy Tuberville senator or House of Representatives?
He's a senator.
Yeah. So he was talking about how the Senate actually understands NIL, but the House of Representatives literally know nothing. And like they're asking basic questions like, wait, players can get paid in congressional hearings. So these are the people you want making this decision.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a great plan. Once again, sarcasm font. we had a guy, a Michigan fan, who was very displeased with Rustin's take on Michigan. And he was talking about, man, the SEC, they're terrible and all this kind of stuff. And I said, yeah, 5 teams in the top 13 of the rankings, they're terrible. I agree. And he goes, I can't believe you just admitted it. And I was like, dude, that was sarcasm. and then it was hilarious. There were like multiple comments back and forth where I was still being sarcastic in the comment, just, like obviously making a joke. And he thought I was totally being serious. So hey buddy, if you're watching, thank you for watching. If you're still watching, I doubt he is. Let's see. Doug said, I don't mind players getting paid, but there needs to be better guidelines in place. Yeah, I totally understand that for sure.
I've told this story on here before, but friend of mine's daughter signed with Michigan State. And, initially they were saying NIL could not be connected with the university, that it had to be a third party collective, all this kind of stuff. They get there to meet with the coaching staff and I got hiccups. It's miserable.
It's a Vol Rose first. It's the first time you ever had the hiccups live on time. Hey, it's live, man.
And I can't get rid of it. They show up for her meeting with the coach to talk about her package. And it says $7,000 a year NIL on her student aid report. And they were like, wait, why is this on here? And they were like, oh, every Michigan State softball player gets $7,000 a year in NIL money. And they were like, isn't this supposed to be outside of the university? And they're like, nobody cares. I mean, literally, that's how they responded. They're like, nobody cares. It's fine. Zero repercussions.
Yeah. Yeah. She's going to Michigan State too, by the way.
Yeah.
We know that kid. Tony said, giving the players and their parents too much power will destroy college athletics, especially the parents part of that. The best teams only get better. Sad times. Well, it's the parents part. That's very, very true. Well, and now it's going to start happening more and more in high school athletics.
Yeah. And unfortunately, in minor sports and in Olympic sports, now they're allowed to have advisors, which is just code for agents that haven't signed contracts yet. And that's making it even more complicated. College baseball, they all have advisors now because they have the opportunity to potentially go pro out of high school. So they have to connect with an agent in case they decide to go that route. But if for some reason they don't like their draft status and they decide to go to college, they can maintain their advisor. And, so the college coaches aren't just having to deal with the kid and the parent anymore. There's also this third party agent that they're having to navigate as well.
Yep. Brant said, I'm with the government and I'm here to help. Yeah, that's a phrase that you always want to hear, right? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Doug said, At this point in my life, I no longer watch any pro sports. I used to watch almost all of them. He said now college football is going the way of the pros, and I think there's probably a lot of people that feel that same way.
Yep.
I totally understand that. Like I said, I think Doug mentioned it earlier. I want to see the kids get paid. I mean, they're risking their lives out there doing that. But you also want to see, at least maybe some guidance, guidelines and stuff. Brant said, doesn't Missouri have a law that helps their players stay in state? Yes, that is 100% accurate.
But there's a loophole after year one. So what you're going to see is a bunch of kids from Missouri are going to stay at Missouri for their freshman year, cash in, and then transfer.
Yeah, I totally agree. Zach said he agreed with Doug. He doesn't watch much pro sports except baseball. Let's see. Hey, Kelly, what's up, buddy? Good to have you with us. He said, what's up, bros? Go Big Orange. Absolutely. Go Big Orange. Doug said the worst words you can hear is I'm from the government. That's exactly right. I think that's what Brant was saying too. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The Wade twins daddy. Okay, so I'm not familiar with this. I didn't hear
the
this.
Wade twins are the twins from Kentucky, or from Kentucky. They're from Nashville.
Okay, yes, I did hear this. Yes.
And their dad basically leveraged money to get the best offer, took them up to Kentucky, and then they didn't play, which anybody who watched those kids could have predicted they're not going to play early on. Then he basically said that his son that's a quarterback should have been starting.
Yep.
Yeah, that one went off the rails in a hurry.
Yeah, as soon as you said Kentucky, I immediately remembered seeing that photo of the two of them standing there in there after practice or something one day. And when I when I read that dad's comments, I literally felt like I was reading a high school player's dad's talking or something.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what in the world is going on?
And like he said, he is gonna make it hard on his kids because coaches aren't gonna put up with it.
No, I agree.
Those two kids are gonna sit in the portal forever because no coach is gonna be like, yeah, I'll handle this.
Yeah, for sure. Brant said, I can see me and Doug going to high school games a couple years to see players playing for love of the game or for love of their team.
Hate to tell you this, but NIL's now in high school also.
And in some states, yeah. There's so here in Tennessee, there's been a proposal. We already have certain NIL stipulations for high school players right here in Tennessee, but that it's allowed. But there's actually been a proposal, I think within the last month, right here in Tennessee for players to be able to transfer to any school for athletic purposes. So if a kid, doesn't like his playing time in one school, he's going to transfer to another. No big deal.
It got voted down last week, but I'm sure they'll bring it up again in a year.
Yeah. The fact that they're talking about it, that means it's eventually coming.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to really the original comment because I think Brant's more spot on than anybody may think because he used the number 5. And I think that's very significant because there was a Big Ten official, he was not a president of a university, but he was an assistant something or other. I can't remember. It was a higher up at a Big Ten university. And he was being interviewed. And listen, if somebody were to say this, and they're just some random person, you wouldn't really buy into it very much. But the fact that a Big Ten official at a Big Ten university said this publicly, that means that they're already talking about it. But he straight up said that it would not be shocking to him if within the next 5 years, the Power 3, if it's just 3 or maybe Power 4 conferences, leave the NCAA and start a revenue sharing model with their players. Okay. He said that publicly. You don't say that publicly unless people are already talking about it. And I mean, that's pretty significant stuff. And so, I mean, here's the thing. The NCAA, if there is a Power 3, and so let's say the Big 12 dissolves into, or no, let's keep the Big 12. Let's say the ACC, which is probably more likely. Let's say the ACC dissolves into the other 3 conferences. So now you've got what would that be? Probably, I mean, there's an average of 16, almost 18 in 4 of them right now. So
They would all, if the ACC dissolved, they would all have to go up to 20.
some at least, maybe more. So I mean, you're talking probably close to 70 teams, 65 to 70 teams, and it's your largest universities, your biggest money making universities.
Yep.
I mean, they at that point they could look at the NCAA and say peace, you know, and they could do their own thing. So in 5 years, there is absolutely no telling what if. Okay, first of all, if the NCAA is even a thing anymore, and if not, what would college football look like? Cole Kubelik just liked the show on Twitter just then, our post, that has our live stream on Twitter. Cole Kubelik just liked it on Twitter. Cole, if you're watching, I would love to hear your opinion about what we just said. That would be awesome. So if you want to put in the comments, that'd be amazing. Better yet, if you want to join us on air, you can DM me right now and I will send you a link. Cole's the man. So that was neat. That was a nice little thing there. Let's see. Brant said, or no, I already got that one. Zach said Notre Dame still won't join a conference.
I'll tell you,
They may have to.
That's actually an interesting comment. I mean, it may get to a place where they just don't have a choice anymore. Like if they want to be a part of that revenue share, they're going to have to.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the interesting thing. If the NCAA goes away, then that forces Notre Dame to do something. Because right now, the thing that's protecting Notre Dame's independent status is the NCAA. But if all these other conferences are saying, no, you have to be in one of our conferences, or you can't be part of whatever name league that they create, then Notre Dame's going to have to do it. Like they're not going to have a choice. So I think that's a really good point, Zach. I mean, like their hand is going to be forced to do something. That's a really good point. Well, did I leave anything out? I think we covered everything. It's been a busy weekend.
It's going to get more busy. I mean, and everybody just has to realize stuff's going to happen. People are going to move. I think the greatest example of that I've seen in the last week, Isaiah Nayor. Okay. 2 years ago, Isaiah Nayor was one of the top wide receivers in the entire country at Wyoming. He almost came to Tennessee, narrowed it down to Tennessee and Texas, went to Texas. They essentially didn't use him the way they promised they would. He kind of took a step back. He's back in the portal.
Yep.
So a guy who 2 years ago was one of the top wide receivers in America is available again. Things are going to happen. People are going to shift. Everybody was freaking out about Jonathan Eccles. We said this a week and a half ago. You're going to see Division I coaches. It's already happening in all the minor sports. Now it's going to start happening in the major sports. You're going to see Division I coaches taking freshmen and saying, hey, I'm going to loan you to this school over here. I want you to go there, get reps as a freshman, get playing time, grow, develop, and in 2 years, we're going to bring you back. And, it's the perfect situation to have Alex Golish at South Florida. He can send guys there. He can develop them instead of them sitting on the bench waiting their turn in Knoxville and then go sign them later out of the portal. You're going to see it more and more and more. And, people, it was amazing to me when I saw people freaking out over Jonathan Eccles committing to South Florida. It's not a big deal. He's just making a business decision for a couple of years and then he'll be back. It's just not the same anymore. And it's going to keep happening.
I think the most important thing about what you just said is I think Jonathan Eccles sees the benefit for him too.
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, I can go to Tennessee and he knows they're going to get somebody coming in from the portal this year. And they've already got Okoye and Ethan Davis on the roster. So he knows if he can come to Tennessee, but he's going to be fourth on the depth chart and he's not going to get on the field. Or he knows he can go to USF start probably day one and get developed for a year or two, and then come to Tennessee. I mean, and then he would be stepping on the field day one at Tennessee, and
Yeah.
still have probably 2 years in major college football and SEC, and then get drafted. I mean, it's a solid business decision for Jonathan Eccles to do that.
Yeah. It's like I told everybody last week. There is a basketball player right now in the Horizon League. He will probably make all conference this year, and he's going to come back and play there again next year. He's a sophomore. And at the end of next year, I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to happen. You're going to hear at the end of next year, a kid's going to transfer from the Horizon League to Mississippi State. It was a done deal over a year ago. He was planted at this school to get reps, to get playing time for 3 years. He's getting an engineering degree in 3 years. When he's done, he's going and taking his COVID year, and he's playing 2 years at Mississippi State for the sole purpose of the NBA draft. That's all he's focused on at that point. It's going to keep happening.
Zach said, "What's his name? I don't think Rustin can say so as not to break the trust of people who say things."
Yes, I can't. When it happens, I'll tell you his name. But just know there is a school in the Horizon League who has a sophomore right now who, after next year, will be transferring to Mississippi State.
I like what Doug said. Doug said he's taking one for the team, staying up past his bedtime. I appreciate that, Doug. Doug was our college football pick 'em challenge winner. So he won he got his $50 Alumni Hall gift card. Doug, I hope you're enjoying that thing, man. Perfect time, right in time for Christmas. Zach said, I'd love to talk to Cole if you can make that happen. That'd be awesome. I agree. I'd love to talk to him too. Zach said that Nair better choose the right shade of orange. Tony said that Nair tore his ACL his first year at Texas.
He did, but that's not why he's in the portal. He's in the portal because he wasn't happy with how they decided they were going to use him. And he asked again if that was going to be his role. And they said, yes, moving into next year, he was going to keep the same role they had him in before the injury. And that's why he's back in the portal.
Hey, Carl's with us now. Welcome, Carl. Good to have you, buddy. Good to see you. He said, I thought we'd lose Eccles when Golsh got the job at UCF, your USF. Hopefully, like we said, hopefully that's a transition ground right now for him, and he's going to play 1 or 2 years, and then he'll be back in Orange after that.
I told you all 2.5, 3 weeks ago, there's a tight end coming to Knoxville next year. And it ain't Jonathan Eccles.
Yep. And I actually, yep. I'm not going to say anything about that one either. Scott, welcome, Scott. Good to have you, buddy. He said, I'm personally not a fan of the portal. It's certainly made it more about the money. I can put it that way. It's definitely more about money now. Hey, so I'm talking about Doug. He said he's going out next Saturday to put that gift card to use. That's what I'm talking about. Absolutely.
Now you're just rubbing it in.
Just so everybody knows, the Volbro schedule for the rest of the month of December. I'm not sure if everybody's aware of this, but Sundays are going to be busy this month. We've got Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are both Sunday nights. Well, we won't be going live those 2 nights. And so what we're going to do, just so everybody knows, and I'll put this out on Twitter and stuff too, so we can all, make plans accordingly. Let's see. So this week, the 13th and the 20th, what about next Sunday? You free next Sunday?
Yeah, sure.
17th. I'm too. So we have 3 days for sure that we're going to be going live this month. And instead of Thursday, it's going to be Wednesday. And that actually works out pretty good because like the next basketball game is Tuesday. And so we'll go live the day after that for a reaction show. So there's the 3 more times this month that we're going to go live is Wednesday, December 13th, Sunday, December 17th, and Wednesday, December 20th. Those are going to be our 3 live shows. If by some chance we can figure out a time the week between Christmas and New Year's to go live, we'll do it if we can figure out a time to kind of preview the bowl game. But I personally am going to be very, very busy that week. Well, I'll be out of town for part of that week. Um, so I'm not sure. So, uh, but for sure we will be live the 13th, the 17th, and the 20th.
So Danico Slaughter just tweeted out a message to Tennessee fans. And the first two paragraphs are just the standard stuff everybody says. But the third paragraph is pretty interesting, and I want to read it real quick because he basically confirmed what we said at the beginning of this. He says, after careful consideration, I've decided to enter my name in the transfer portal. This decision is about my personal growth and aspirations, and in no way diminishes the gratitude and love I feel for the University of Tennessee. I am sincerely thankful for the opportunity and memories here. So, a guy who makes that statement is basically confirming what we were saying. He's looking around the room and going, if I'm going to keep playing, I got to go somewhere else because these young guys over here, after a year in a strength program, I'm not going to be able to beat them out anymore.
That was very well said. That was a great post. Fantastic post. That was awesome. Let's see. Zach's pumped about our schedule for the rest of the month. He said, awesome. I can come every day now. That's what I'm talking about. Ooh, Tony made a great point. I was thinking that was the 14th. So I'm glad you said that. Tony made a good point. So next year's SEC football schedule for the entire conference is going to be released game by game, for every team, not just the conference games, every team's full schedule, including out of conference games, on the 13th on SEC Network. And I'm so glad you said that. I was thinking that was going to be the 14th. So I'm glad I was wrong. So that'll be perfect. That'll happen. I think it's 7 or 7:30 that night.
Will people care about that?
Nah. So we'll make sure to go live after that's over. I'll have to check the time slot on that.
I'm sure SEC Network will milk that for every commercial they can get out of it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm thinking it'll go at least till 9:00, maybe 9:30 or 10. So we'll be sure to follow that. If they do it alphabetically, Tennessee will be near the end. But
they can't do it alphabetically because if they do, Vanderbilt will be last, and everybody will turn it off 30 minutes early. They'll have to go sporadic to keep everybody's interest.
Yeah, exactly. Zach said, "Too bad it's not 13th and on a Friday." Doug said, "He's looking now. I got the hiccups. Looking forward to seeing the schedule of every team." Yeah, me too. We kind of already know Tennessee's. There are a couple of the insiders have released that. Tennessee has a tough, if they're all correct, which I'm sure they are. Tennessee has kind of a tough 3-game stretch near the middle of the season, but we'll see what happens.
And the more and more consolidation happens and the more all these mega conferences get created, there's not going to be such a thing as a schedule that doesn't have a rough stretch in it. I mean, they're all just going to keep getting harder and harder.
For sure. So Zach made a really good point. He said, I can't wait to see Georgia and Bama's non-cupcake schedule. That's a very good point. Yeah. Georgia has like 8 tough games next year. They are not going to have an easy year next year. Tony, he was thanking me or telling me no problem for when I thanked him for helping us out. He said, "Love to help out the show, fellas." And he said, "Love the show. We appreciate that, man. You add to the show for sure. And so that was very helpful. So that's perfect. So we'll go live Wednesday the 13th. That'll be our next show. And then so that'll give us the Georgia Southern basketball game to talk about, and also the SEC schedule reveal to talk about. And then so that'll be a super short show, I'm sure. And then that'll be a fun one. Then Sunday the 17th and Wednesday the 20th. So those will be the 3 days for sure that we're live. Well, all right. Zach's excited because he can join us. He said he doesn't have to work on Thursdays, or he has to work on Thursday, so he's excited. Praise the Lord, man. I'm with you on that. All right. Well, it's been a whole lot of fun. This was a productive evening. I'm going to probably clip out that part where we talked about is Dalton Connett the best player since Allen Houston at Tennessee. I'm going to make that its own little standalone video. um, let's see. Doug said, "Do you think Georgia's going to pay Carson Beck $4 million to play next year?" No, I don't. I think a booster will,
I was about to
or
say,
somebody.
I don't think the University of Georgia will even touch that with a 10-foot pole, but they might tell him, hey, drive down the street and there'll be a guy in a black car and he'll hand you a bag of
Yeah,
money.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. McDonald's bags.
yeah. No, it's Georgia. It'll be Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Zach's saying he's predicting 106 to 56 Vols win on Tuesday. I mean, maybe
Very
that's
possible.
that could happen, depending on
If
how
you
well they
look
play
at if
defense.
you look at the rest of Georgia Southern's schedule, that's actually mathematically that would hold pretty true.
So that's exciting, exciting day to be a Vols fan. A whole lot going on. Be sure to check out the volbros.com. That shop button, you can get one of those cool everything school shirts like Rustin has. That's a good looking shirt right there. He's got it in black. It also comes in navy, in white, and in smoky gray. So only $24.99. That's what I'm talking about. Perfect Christmas gift. So hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful evening. We sure do appreciate y'all joining us tonight. And go Vols, baby. Go Vols.